Hey everybody, welcome to Linux Cast. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Nate.
I thought for sure we weren't going to be able to hear. I'm sorry, I just figured, guys, if you've watched the pre-show, we've had some audio problems. Last week it was the internet problems on my end. Before that it was Debian 13. We have been cursed or something. I don't know. Things have been going.
How dare you blame Debian 13?
Yeah, I blame Debian 13 for everything. I'm blaming Debian 13 for Nate's problems right now. Even though he's on like an Ubuntu 2204 or 2004 or whatever it is.
With an updated kernel, so just FYI.
If only he was using a good distro. I'm just kidding. I'm not even using a real distro, so I can't even say shit. All right.
Nope. Shots are being fired all over the place.
Welcome to the Linux Cast. We talk about Linuxy things. We're gonna delve a little bit more into AI tonight. We have news links for you, and they're kind of surrounding a central topic. So we're gonna talk about those. It's gonna be awesome. But before we jump in, we have a mini topic, and our mini topic is: what are you currently using for your note-taking system? So I know we all take notes. So what are you currently using, Drew?
A combination of things, actually. So I used to use like Git, some type of Git, in order to like synchronize or back up my notes. But at this point, the file storage that I have on my NAS is where everything resides. So everything is local, basically. And as far as software, I guess I'm using Genie for bigger stuff, as well as my own bash script note setup, which is called Butter Notes. Please don't try it. Please. I don't want to actually maintain it for anybody other than myself currently. But at some point, there will be a video probably associated with something called Butter Notes.
Which will guarantee someone's going to file issues.
I know.
There'll be issues filed. Nate, what about you? What are you using for notes?
So I actually use something called NoteSnook.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked about it in the past. And I just really like the fact that for like $4 a month, any device, it doesn't matter. There's an app for iOS, Apple, Android, Windows, Linux. It doesn't matter. As long as you have that connection fee, you can pull it up anywhere. So I still use it. You can do markdown files. You can do it as a PDF. You do whatever you want. So.
Awesome. So the reason why I chose this as a last minute mini topic is because in traditional Matt fashion, mine changes constantly. So I've been doing better. I use Obsidian on the desktop. I use something called QuillPad on the phone, and then now I use SyncThing to sync between them. But a fairly new discovery since like beginning of September is Field Notes. These are just like a little mini notebook, and these are expensive. I would not buy these again. There are some off brands that are much cheaper. You get like 3 of these Field Notes for like $15, so it's pretty pricey. But they have some much cheaper ones, which I'll get next time. These things, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say they've kind of changed my life. Like I used to use like sticky notes to take like random notes or whatever while I'm just sitting here at the computer, and I'd lose them constantly because sticky notes are like the biggest scam in the history of the world. They don't stick to shit, you know. like I don't. It's just the stupidest thing ever. So I was always losing them. It was never very good. But this thing here, like I put a to-do list in it every day now, and there's something about like I've always run a to-do list. I've recommended a to-do application before. TickTick and then Todoist before that. But there's something, I don't know, psychologically awesome about being able to go in here when you've done something and actually crossing it out. I mean, it's crazy. Like I've gotten way more done in the last 3 weeks than I probably have in the 6 months beforehand, just because I sit here, I make a list, and then when I need to do something, I cross it out. It's just, it's a revelation. And then some of these are just like doodles, and I have a few pages that are video ideas and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I've also recorded like 20 videos in the last 2 weeks, and I give it all credit to this thing because
that's good, man.
Crossing it out.
I was just thinking, I always have like pen and paper right next to my desk too. It says Spiral Linux, Btrfs, ISO, link word, and I don't know what any of this stuff means, but all this stuff
just random
I
words.
can refer back to it.
Well, see on this page here, I have a list of football team names because my nephew and I are betting each week and picking all the games.
Nice. Yeah.
By the way, I'm getting my ass handed to me. I think it's not even fucking close. I'm really bad. I was 9-7. He was like 11-5 this week, and last week he was 14-2. Like, dude, what the? Are you fucking Nostradamus or some shit? It's bullshit. I gotta stop picking the Cowboys. Okay, don't pick the Cowboys. They fucking suck. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I'm an Eagles fan. I should just pick against them on pure loathing. Sorry. Anyways, that's what I've been doing. It's a whole note taking revolution on my end. Who knows how long I'll stick with it? But yeah, field notes. These little mini notes because Drew, I've always had like a big notebook next to my thing, but I just don't use it for whatever reason. The size of this thing. It makes
do you travel? Difference. So you travel with it. I'm assuming you put it in your pocket. Or no?
I don't go anywhere. I sit here in front of the computer. Right. But if I were to travel, it would fit in my pocket. But it just sits here, and I think because it fits in the middle of my split keyboard, and it's just like in my face all the time. Whereas the bigger notebook, I have to hide away because it takes up space. So it's like here all the time. So I'm just here, it's kind of become like a fidget spinner for me. Like I just flip through it halfway through the day or whatever. Like, oh, there's stuff there. So yeah.
My son called me today and he said, "Dad, I need something to remind me." I said, "Well, I know something." I said, "I know Matt uses like tick and this. And I started like rattling off like he's no, I want like a whiteboard. And that is all, So I'm like, okay, low tech. I dig it. All right.
It turns out in Drew's family, his kid's the old one. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our news this week. So why don't we go ahead and do we have a preference on who goes first? Nate, why don't you go first, shall we?
Oh yeah, that's great. Let's see how this works. Totally not raining at all. Okay. Maybe the link will work.
Talking about Git developers making Rust mandatory.
Yeah. Give my internet a second.
Just please don't crash the browser. Please don't crash the browser.
Okay. I think we're there. All right. So Git developers are debating making Rust mandatory. Developers behind Git dispute revision control system are debating whether to make Rust programming language support mandatory. Earlier this year, a Git 2.49 was a Rust foreign function interface introduction, while patches series floated early this month in debating the merits of requiring Rust support as part of the building Git. So far, the Rust support for Git is optional but could change in the future. Notable, though, is that it would restrict the architectures and platforms where Git could be deployed compared to the current C code. So it's one of those things, once again, Rust seems to be interrupting into every single thing in our lives currently. And I just found it really interesting that even the Git code base that is in C is now possibly getting Rust. And, I have a certain, not to be named on this podcast, distro that is soon fixing to be beta that was also written in Rust. So
yeah, it's going to be glorious.
It's really interesting.
Do you guys think that? Do you guys foresee a future where C is just like done, like COBOL or something like that? Like, just like only people who ever actually going to code in are people who are well into their late stage careers. Or do you think that C is just going to be they'll
not
exist?
I was about to say not in my lifetime, but. But I don't think in COBOL's still around, to your point, Matt, in terms of like, banking software and things like that. It's not that, it's very specialized, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Incredibly specialized. People my age and older are the only ones that have like practical use of COBOL. The interesting thing to me about Nate's article, though, is it's a requirement. I mean, they're actually saying we require you to learn Rust in order for you to deploy and use Git. And that's it. And if you can't do it, then you can't participate to this code base, which is crazy to me, But at the same time, it seems to be that's the way things are going in terms of like, memory management and things like that. But no, I don't think C's going anywhere anytime soon.
I don't think I've ever paid much attention to the development of Git itself. I know that it was created by Linus Torvalds. I just kind of always, for whatever reason, assumed that he was still somewhat involved with the development of it, but apparently not, because this is being handled completely different than the introduction of Rust into the Linux kernel, where it's kind of in the Linux kernel is, Linus is behind it, and he's okay with it, but it's like easing into it, like, just like, it's okay, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be a slow movement thing, C's not going anywhere, it's gonna exist in harmony. There was no like every Linux developer is going to have to learn Rust or you can't develop for Linux anymore, which is the way that the Git guys seem to have gone, which is weird. We just have to pause here for a second. I've been trying to scratch a spot out on my screen, and it turns out that it's a doorknob in Drew's camera. I'm just it's like it looks like there's just like a bug up there or something. I just heard scratching and it's the stupid doorknob in the background.
I'm gonna go open the doors. It's like some mental itch, or like
like it's driving me crazy for the last 10 minutes. I've been just here scratching at the screen, like, why won't it come off? And then I look over here, like, oh my god, it's over here too. Sorry. So. Yeah, and the Rust thing is Nate is right though. It's like it's seeping into everything. So like we're replacing the GNU core utils with Rust based ones. All desktop environments obviously aren't are going to go that direction for a lot of things. It'd be interesting to see if GNOME and KDE start working this direction as well. Like start slowly entering into using the Rust thing. And the real question I have is, like, I'm not a developer, but does it feel not great that we're putting all of our there's two ways of looking at this. Is it not great that we're putting all of our eggs in one basket with Rust, or is it better that we're kind of splitting the eggs, because C is going to stick around, so we're doing it in both directions, so it doesn't really, like, if one has like a major 0 day or whatever come along, the other one's still around and can be used. Like, I'm not a developer, so I have no clue which way things are actually headed. But I think my question earlier was the big one, was like, is C dead? It's just gonna eventually, no one's gonna learn C and everybody's gonna be learning Rust or whatever the newfangled thing is, and then anybody who knows C is gonna be able to, like, because you guys do remember, like, during the pandemic when everyone was filing for unemployment and all of the unemployment systems are written in COBOL. So all of the COBOL developers, all like 4 of them, could like say, yeah, I want $1 million. I'll help you fix your system or whatever. So I'm worried that C's headed that direction just a little bit.
Well, the only thing that really makes me concerned about constantly pushing Rust is the license, because you have Rust is under MIT, and they can push it as a closed proprietary source. So what's that going to mean to Linux if they're constantly just pushing Rust into Linux in general? You know what I mean? Like, that's because you're going from a GPL to MIT license. And Microsoft obviously has some stuff to do with this, because you don't just have a language that's all of a sudden just boom, everybody in the industry wants to push it. So there's something somewhere that everybody's missing.
I don't know enough about, like, to Matt's point, I don't know that I know anything about like actual programming other than I can try to use Bash to write my own stuff. But when it comes to the complexity of and the benefits of using one language over another language, I'm short. I don't really understand what it is. But the strange thing about it to me is you have to, based on your article, Nate, it's like you have to master Rust in order to use version control. And that is odd to me. I mean, but I see where it's going, and I see how the adoption process is making this more and more a necessity. But I don't know if it's a good thing. I just don't, and I'm not smart enough to know what the benefits are overseas, other than what everyone says. Oh, it's better for memory management and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know the answer.
So I think all this gives us another reason to be pissed off at Mozilla, because the guy who created this originally worked at Mozilla, and it was a sponsored project in 2009. And then when Mozilla decided that they were going to lay a whole bunch of people off in order to give their C-suite guys some more money, this was actually spun out of Mozilla. So now it's part of the Rust Foundation, which, I mean, they would then control whether or not, they went proprietary or not. I think if it stayed in Mozilla, it would be less chance of it ever doing that.
See, I keep telling people Mozilla is not your friend. That just proves it.
Like this could have been the thing that Mozilla was known for. Like, yeah, we control Rust, which gives us fingers in every pie imaginable. And, the Linux kernel, Git, the new core utils are gonna, everything. It could be a Mozilla project, and they could be like successful, and then, not disposable like Firefox has become. All right, that's enough of the random Mozilla bashing that Matt seems to get into every single episode. Like, it should be a bingo square at this point. Matt says shit about Firefox. Bingo. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on then to actually let's go ahead and do yours next, Drew, and we'll wrap up with Chrome if we still have time, because yours is going to. All right. Before we go on, what's with the stupid CAPTCHA there, New York Times?
I sent you a link though that should have been like shareable.
No, send me the New York Times, both of them, and then I have to slide the puzzle piece into the thing. The CAPTCHA has gotten proceedingly more annoying as time goes on, as the robots get smarter. Anyway, so let's go. Why don't you tell us about what you're talking about, Drew?
The first article is about AI, and could it make the smartphone passé? And what it is basically saying is smartphones are dead. AI is taking over everything. We're talking about smart glasses that watch everything that you do, AI pendants that record every conversation, and ambient computing with microphones like your Google Home devices and so on in every room. The whole premise is that AI assistants will just do everything for us. So there will be no more apps, no more interfaces. Just tell the AI what you want, and it handles everything. And that's what these big companies, Apple and Meta and Google and Amazon, are all banking on. They're all betting that this is our future, and we are essentially going to give up control to these digital assistants. So that's what the first article is about. The second article is about how AI is creating this massive nostalgia wave for the 80s and 90s. And it basically, it's talking about like AI generated videos of teenagers from 1995 telling us how much better life was before the internet and before smartphones and before social media. And here's the kicker. These videos are getting millions of views from people who weren't even alive, these Gen Zers in the 90s. They're literally creating false memories of a past that never existed. So basically what I'm saying is these two things combined is kind of like underlining the fact that this same technology that's promising to control our future is simultaneously creating fake memories of a better past. So people are fed up with, so much so that they're fed up with this current tech, that they're embracing these AI lies of like what used to be. So that's what these two articles are about.
So here's my thing. I don't... Maybe eventually the smartphone maybe eventually that's where the direction goes, is smart glasses. But and I know people were like really really happy with the latest Meta glasses that they just came out with. Like they were like way better than before. But do people don't? I don't know that people are as enamored with the AI thing as a lot of the articles want us to believe. And maybe it's just my built-in, cynicism or whatever that's going on here. Like, I know that these videos you're talking about, Drew, are getting a lot of views. And did you guys see that there was a story a few days ago that came out somewhere that a YouTube channel got millions of subscribers and views, and all it was an AI posting videos over and over again of someone getting shot in the head over and over. Like,
really?
Yeah, I was like, what? First off, people are watching that shit. That's just weird. So maybe that lends credence to the idea that people are watching this more than I think that they are. But I guess the question I have for you guys is, do you think that people are just watching the AI stuff from like the 80s and 90s because it shows up in their TikTok feed, and it just is something that they watch, or do you think it's something that they actually go seek out?
I personally think it's something that just shows up in their TikTok feed, just because the algorithm just seems to push it constantly. No matter what you do, it's going to pop up right in your face. I don't know how many times, I don't do TikTok at all. It's not allowed in my house. It is banned on my network. It's not allowed. But I do YouTube Shorts. And I don't know how many, I was just going through, my normal shorts, and all of a sudden, boom, one after another just starts turning to AI videos. And I have to completely get out and then find another video to watch and then start going. And then all of a sudden it's back. So I think it's just an algorithm thing. And I think they're just trying to push it down our throats. And I wouldn't be surprised if companies were behind this just to create revenue, to be honest. And and that's the end of the game. They invested so much money into AI implementation of literally everything in our lives that they have to recoup somehow. And if it's getting young people to watch, fake videos, they'll do it. I don't put it past the corporation.
So, Drew, did they have, I didn't scroll all the rest of the way through the article, but did they have links to these videos did you watch one of them?
I did not. No, I didn't. I just read that they're available. I was like, to me, it was kind of ironic that robots, these robots are telling, these people are watching that robots have ruined everything. And then we're building more robots to fix it. It's just like, what? And the thing that makes, okay, so here's the thing. And I wanted to kind of bring this back to more of a Linux or a Linux community type angle, because are we creating the haves and the have-nots now? Or basically I'm going to go there. Okay. The sheep and the wolves, because in this type of setup, there are only a few people that are going to keep privacy on, as something part of their lives. And we as the Linux community will use AI, but we understand its pitfalls, and we will try to kind of keep our stuff private. Whereas people that don't know or that don't understand what the pitfalls are all in. They're not going to think in terms of how this affects them negatively. And at some point it will be too late, and they're going to come back and say, geez, I wish we'd have known all this. And all they really need to do, Matt, is watch the Linux cast, and they would know. They
Absolutely.
would know.
Subscribe and like. So, we've kind of talked about it before, the negative aspects of AI. What's interesting me is at least in theory, AI doesn't create things on its own. It pulls things down in machine learning that exist on the internet and then puts it together in its own way, right? So in order for it to start making videos about how good the past was, basically what that's doing is pulling a whole bunch of blog posts from millennials bitching and complaining about AI and then turning those into videos, and that's very interesting, because obviously it's going to take its own slant on it. And I mean, anybody who was alive in the 90s knows that there's not much difference than today. I mean, there's just as much shit back then as it was now. The only difference is everything's more expensive today. That's really the biggest difference. At least I think so. And granted, I was 10 years old in 1995, so
Yeah.
Drew was like, I was in college, man.
No, man, I was working for a software company in 1995.
You are old.
He was at that Redmond. That's where
I was actually. I was at Microsoft. I was working adjacent to Microsoft, I should say.
Yeah.
Drew invented the modem, is what we're trying to say.
Well, let me ask this question too then. I'll say, okay, if we have this kind of anti-tech nostalgia, is this an opportunity for Linux to gain market share for the people that are like fed up with like where this trajectory of tech is going? Do we have an opportunity here?
Go ahead, Nate, you got something?
Well, I think yes and no, but I'm going to lean more towards the yes, and the simple fact that I think if we have software that is alternative to actual AI stuff, like for example, Home Assistant is basically an AI, but you control what is going on and you have to set it up. That might gain a little bit more market share, but the no side is people are lazy and they just want something to work, so they'll sell their soul to make sure that it works.
I think for some people, yeah. And then for some more people, it will lead to, field notes. They'll go completely Luddite, right? The more they see, maybe more they see these videos, get more enamored with life without the constant need for technology, they'll go more towards the less techy side of life, where they'll take notes on paper, they will call people on the telephone. For some people, as someone who uses or in the past has used TikTok, I've since deleted it. I don't know. I know there's this whole idea that TikTok actually influences people. And maybe the younger generations are more influenced than I was, but for me, I never took a lot of influence. I mean, every once in a while, I'd find a recipe or something that looked cool, but other than that, I never saw anyone who had a political opinion on TikTok. I was like, oh yeah, that guy's right. Like, no, usually it was like, that guy's a fucking moron, and that was on any side of the aisle, and maybe it's just people of our generation, just group the older people together who have the ability to see that and be less influenced. Maybe the Gen Zers and whatever came after that are more influenced by the social media than what we expected them to be, and that's the reason why these videos are causing whatever it is they're causing. But I want to go back to the smartphone thing, because I find this, because since 2007 when the iPhone came out, we've been in a smartphone revolution. Now every single person has one of these things, and I bet you all three of us have one within reach right now, right? And that's been the case that's been the case for the last probably 10 20 years. I guess it's closer to 20 years now. And my question is do we really think that AI, such as we know it right now, is actually going to take over for this thing? Or is it just going to be something that sits on top of this thing? And, you still have one of these, but you use the thing, like kind of like right now, like you have Gemini and you say, hey, I really want to rename Google douchebag. So I'm just going to say, hey, douchebag, tell me, whatever, how old is Willie Nelson? And it will tell you. Or can you generate a picture of a dog chasing a bear for whatever reason? Can you do that? Like, you just sit on top of it. Because my argument there is no, simply because of games. Like, people use these things for gaming, and I don't know how AI is going to take over for a video game. Like, you're just going to need a screen for that to happen.
It reminds me of those games that I used to play in the 90s where it was all text-based, so you would have to tell it where to go. So now you're just going to have people walking around just saying, okay, Google, take a left turn. And it'll read text to them.
Yeah, I'd actually, I know it sounds weird, but I'd play that game. It kind of sounds fun.
Isn't it weird though? I mean, when you talk about like, the interaction between you and this technology, you're using your voice to ask it questions so that it actually does something for you. And I think that's becoming like I said before, so commonplace that people are not going to know how to actually use technology for their own benefit other than asking it questions. Can they sit down at a keyboard and actually get it to like do something, So I had 4 questions, and we don't have to answer them, but I was like, is Linux accidentally becoming a form of digital resistance? Will computing literacy become like knowing Latin, something only scholars will even bother with? And could this actually be good for Linux adoption? And the last one is, are we creating a world where the only people with real digital privacy are the ones geeky enough like us to compile their own operating systems and like actually know what the hell they're doing with technology?
The people not learning computing isn't an artifact of artificial intelligence, though. It's the Chromebook. It was that problem. People got the Chromebook and the smartphone too. It was like nobody knows how a smartphone works. Nobody, back in the early 90s and mid 90s or whatever, if you wanted to say you wanted to use Linux, half the time you'd have to go through and figure out how to get your modem to work, and then you'd have to figure out how audio would, work. And turns out 30 years later, we're still trying to get audio to work. But doing that sort of thing caused you to learn how to use the thing. And maybe, Drew, the people who are Linux nerds, every time I say that, I got to point to that, are going to be the type of people who are able to solve the problems when things go wrong, until they get replaced by AI, I suppose.
Well, and that's already kind of happening, because look how many YouTubers that have said, I'm switched to Linux. And the next time they have a problem, they immediately say, yeah, I went to ChatGPT. So it's already starting to happen. And we know that's very dangerous, because ChatGPT will throw out some scripts out there, and you're like, yeah, don't run that. just don't.
Yeah, pipe to bash is like immediately pipe it to bash. Yeah. I will admit to being guilty of using AI for tech support. It's just so much. There's a thing about
yeah, but at the same, but you know how to use it properly, and you know what you're looking for. But then you have these people that don't, and they just put anything that they find in there. Yeah. So it's a different situation. Like we study and we know what we're looking for, but at the same time, you have these people, to Drew's point, that literally are just going to be mindless drones, and it's like, oh, ChatGPT said this, so I'm going to throw this in the terminal, and why is my system messed up now?
Yeah, we actually understand. Well, I want to overstate here, but we if AI or whatever ChatGPT gives you a wrong response, I think we're experienced enough to know that's wrong. That's flat out wrong. And they need to either I asked the wrong question, or it's some type of it's bullshit what their answer is.
Well, at least somewhat, like if it said, pseudo curl pipe to bash, yeah, probably I'm not going to run that. But I know, because that's usually what I use AI for, is to do the whole tech support thing, because there's a whole thing about, you go to a forum and you ask a question, sometimes it doesn't get an answer at all, sometimes it gets to the RTFM answer, and sometimes it takes, days for someone to come along and answer, whereas AI is instantaneous, even if it gives me the wrong answer. So, just for example, the other day, I've been working on my website, and I needed to know how to create a responsive menu. And I went on to W3 Schools. I got all the information, but I had a roadblock somewhere. I just did not know what I was doing. So I got into Claude Code and said, hey, I've gotten this far. Could you help me along? And it said yes. And I actually learned that I like regular Claude better, because it gives you this wall of text explaining what it does. Whereas Claude Code just says, hey, I did this thing for you. you know, would you know, it does ask you permission if you wanted to edit stuff, but it doesn't actually hardly ever explain what it's doing. It just does it. And you have to kind of go 40% of my Emacs configuration file is exactly like that. Like all the Pywall stuff in there, I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And there's no documentation for implementing Pywall really online anywhere. So I got into Claude Code and say, hey, can you implement Pywall for this? And it just did it. I have no clue how it works, like none whatsoever. So maybe I'm, you know, maybe I'm like one of those millennials that is more Gen Z than I want to be, and will happily enter things into my Emacs config without understanding it.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you actually go back and look to see what it changed eventually, or?
Well, I've looked at it, but I have no clue what any of it means. Like, it did some really weird things with Lisp that just are very weird. Like a lot of my Emacs stuff came from other people online, and I'm okay with that. I was using Emacs for a bit. I didn't really have the interest in, you know, doing a lot of things, but I learned a lot of eLisp along the way. But I hardly know anything in comparison to a lot of people. And so the stuff that I did, I pulled, copied, and pasted from others. And then there's this Pywall thing that looks completely different than all the rest, other than it has a ton of comments. Because that's one thing AI does, is a whole bunch of comments in all the code. And it's, you know, it's just weird. It's like it's using Lisp to like rebuild awk in a weird way so that it kind of replaces color codes in some places. It's very weird. I vaguely understand it now that I've been using it for a little while, but all I know is that it works. So
it's interesting that my viewpoint is I call it names. I'm like, you're a freaking moron. And and then I'm like, this is way too complex of a solution that you're coming up with. There is a much simpler solution. And then it says, oh, sorry. And then it gives me something really stinking simple. I'm like, why didn't you just start with simple, you know? But to wrap it up in terms of like these articles, it's like, you know, it's going to be like our future. I would hate to think our future is like, how do we install Arch Linux is going to be equivalent to how we grow our own food, you know, or something like that. It's like, this is something that I've never done before. I can do it, but it's very specialized skill. I don't know, man. It's strange. This is a strange time that we live in, basically.
Do you guys think that there needs to be a concerted effort to build a AI version, not an AI version of Linux, but an open source version of AI that is more freedom focused than what we have right now? Because it feels like eventually maybe that will come along, and then it'll be the traditional Linux thing, and like, oh, we started a little bit too late, it never really caught on, there wasn't enough resources for it, but it's really needed, you know.
So the only one that I know of right now that I can say is truly open source is the one that's being developed or is at some stage right now in Switzerland, where the government has actually like appropriated funds and research for an open model that is decentralized in Switzerland. I don't know enough about it to say anything more than just that, though.
Open AI or open GPT or whatever the hell they call it. I think their
parts
original...
of it are open. OpenAI has some parts that are open.
Yeah,
but
not
ChatGPT is not
big stuff. No.
Yeah,
I think that originally when they founded that was going to be their goal, was to, because they started off as nonprofit. You know, they were going to be doing this for like the good of humanity or whatever. And then Microsoft said, "Hey, you want to know what? Here's $100 billion." And as is usual, money is the root of all evil. I think that when it comes to, I mean, we've talked about this before, but really it can't be parents, because parents aren't going to understand it, right? Like, your parents aren't going to be able to point at, you know, don't do AI because it's bad for you kind of thing, unless they know to say that. It's going to have to be in the schools, where they teach how to responsibly use it and be able to think, hey, maybe this isn't a great thing to, it's not telling me the right answer or whatever. And if they don't do that and it doesn't happen soon, it's going to be an issue going
So
forward.
Nate, let me ask you this, man. If you had to guess about like school, let's say, is it going to be commonplace that in the school, for example, they stop giving homework and they actually make you do your work in the classroom away from technology, so there's not going to be homework, but you're going to have like actual practical, like hands-on experience in the classroom?
I don't know if they will or not, because, schools are always lagged behind in about 15 years of technology, to be honest, especially in schools, in most states. If you're in like in a big city or something, yeah, you're like top of the line. You're already there, but some schools, they always lag behind. As far as the homework thing, I think they should stop it. I think they should actually just do the work there in class and actually do hands-on experience, because I don't know what job gives you homework. And that's really all they're setting you up for, is to go get a job. And so I don't know. To Matt's point, I agree that schools should start teaching this, but I chuckle because I'm also one of those like, yeah, good luck, our school system. Yay. So we'll see how that goes. I have no trust in them whatsoever.
Yeah. You know what? I'd say we move to Canada, but Canada's probably any better.
It's just bad, man. I'm telling you, like the current school, because the problem is you have people that really don't care about teaching, and I'm not trying to get political here, but they don't care about teaching. What they care about is their paycheck. And that's all they do. Because if they really cared about teaching, then you would learn things like your taxes, what the law means, there's computers, there's how to cook, how to do this. Like, you would learn these things.
Most teachers
like, that should
don't
be
set
part
their,
of school.
Most teachers don't set their curriculum these days. Now it's set by, whoever.
Yeah, some tests.
And like you have, one school district that teaches things one way, one school district that teaches things another way. And teachers move around a lot, so they have to figure out what they're supposed to be teaching. And then, half the time they have to deal with snot-nosed kids who, wow, we're old, guys. We're just really old. And kids these days, they don't want to learn anything. They're just really horrible. They said the same thing about our generations. They said we were the horrible and no respect for our elders. And now we are the elders.
To Drew's point, I think they should take away the computer, like take away the technology, and just go back to pen and paper for a while. Like, just take it away, take it back. Like, have a tech class that they can go use the computers, but just pull it back and say, okay, we're going to learn to do this the old-fashioned way. Solve your equation, because that teaches you critical thinking. And if you're not careful, you'll allow AI to do the critical thinking, and then you'll wind up with a mess.
A lot of places here in Michigan now actually do prevent you from using your phone in class. Like, they take it away from you. I don't know that that's gonna solve the AI thing, because you can still do that at home. But maybe school just needs to be longer. Like, they tack an extra hour and a half on every day. Like, and that extra hour and a half is just like homework time.
Unfortunately, the teachers' unions are not going to allow that.
No, I know. Plus,
once again,
yeah, and
we should be paying our teachers more. And if that's the case, because of how you pay teachers more, you're going to get better quality teachers. I mean, that's simple. When you come right down to it, it becomes a lot more.
Attractive to people
for people that.
But that doesn't make money. What makes money is the football coach, because everybody would donate to the team.
So there was a I don't know, remember what city it was, but here in Michigan, they passed a millage to increase the property taxes, and then for the schools, and then they built a $11 million football stadium with that money. And it was the janky. First off, what the fuck? But second of all, they took a tour of the fucking thing, and it's just a bunch of stands, like old style metal stands, and it was a nice football field. It wasn't $11 million. So whatever construction company put forward that bid, those guys did good. They did really good. Like, it was $11 million. Like, you know how many football fields you should be able to build for $11 million? I mean, that's bonkers. All right. Anyways, we have long since bypassed what we're just bitching about kids these days. And
listen, I've had a rough stinking day, and T-Mobile's done sent me the wrong phone replacement twice. My Linux system decided just to completely unalive itself. Audio doesn't want to work on anything. Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. We went along with it. All right, we do have one more to talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about the brand new Chrome. Chrome is now an AI browser, and there's nothing you can do about it. So if there's ever a reason to go use Vivaldi, this is it. So Gemini is now going to be built in with a dedicated button, not just in the tabs, but literally across the browser. There's going to be, they're using AI to promote security, whatever the fuck that means. I'm sure it's going to be very secure. It's moving closer to becoming Google's default way of searching the web, which we knew was going to happen. Like, eventually regular search is going away. I would love it if there was a search engine out there other than like Cirx that had no AI in it. Like, I'm going to be using Cirx probably till the day I die, because like you can't get away from AI in any of the search engines. Even Brave, which was like the last bastion of good search, it now puts AI right there at the top.
Well,
AI,
I mean, you can turn it off. You can turn it off.
Yeah, and then it comes back. Like every time they push an update, it comes back, and I have to go turn it off again. Also, can I just this has nothing to do with this, but for whatever reason, it reminded me of something. In Proton, I've been getting advertisements, and it's been pissing me the fuck off. But that's, sorry, had nothing to do with this, but it reminded me of it. I was like, that's just fun. It's just everything's making me so damn angry. But anyways, they're also creating tools that can identify common tech support scams, which I suppose is a good thing. Like, but does it prevent you from learning the ability to see those scams on your own? I mean, I think that probably is the case. Phishing scams in Gmail, like they've been doing this in Gmail for ages. They also have a new model that is deployed to expand the detection of fake virus alerts and phony giveaways. I didn't even know those things were still a thing, but then I use an ad blocker like a normal person. So, and then they have a Chrome Password Manager will let you tell you about compromised passwords, which is a feature that Bitwarden and other password managers have had for literal ever. So, Google Chrome is now an AI first browser. Neither one of you guys actually use Chrome, but you do use Well, Drew, you're on Firefox, right? But Nate, you're on Brave. Right. So are you guys looking forward to your browsers becoming AI first browsers, because that's what's probably going to happen?
I mean, okay, so there are some browsers that I am currently like interested in using. Firefox is probably the one that I am gonna. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll keep Firefox around, but like I'm curious a little bit more. I want to try the Zen browser a little bit more. I think it already has AI. And then there's that one that I can't remember, but basically is ungoogled Chromium, but it's not that anymore. It's something like Orion. Is that it? What it's called, or something like that?
I didn't know they rebranded actually.
There's something. I'll have to go back and look, but so don't listen to me in terms of like what I just said. But there is an ungoogled Chromium that is not what that's called anymore. And I think that that's going to be something that I will consider as well. Right now I have two browsers. One is Firefox ESR. It just like updated because it is a security patch on Debian 13. And then I have Brave, actually. I'm using Brave on this particular machine, but over there on that machine, I have been testing the two browsers that I just mentioned. So Florp is good. Yeah, but I haven't tried it. It's just such a stupid name.
It is a stupid name. The cool thing about Florp is that they are trying to implement a lot of the features that Vivaldi has. Unfortunately, they haven't quite gotten where where they need to be yet. I'm hoping that they fix the workspace functionality, but right now they haven't. Nate, what about you? Are you excited about your AI browser coming to your computer near you? Probably written in Rust, maybe.
Not really, because I turn it off every time, even though every device I have has the Brave browser. Like every device I own. And yeah, Leo gets turned off all the time.
Let's hopefully think that it it maintains the ability to be turned off.
So you said every update. Like I had a few updates recently, and Leo never came back. So I wonder if that's just something that they fixed. It was a bug or
no. I'm talking about the AI and Google search. The little blurb on top.
I don't
of that.
see. I don't use the Google search. I actually use the Brave search.
90% of the time I can just use search and it's fine. But every once in a while I have to go use Google, and then it's like there in front of my face and I can't get it to turn off. See, for me, I use Vivaldi, and Vivaldi has a stance against AI. So for those of you who I know, like, oh my God, I hate that it has an email client and an RSS reader. Get over it and use it instead, because it doesn't have AI, and they don't want to put AI in it. So I'm very happy about that. It's not.
I know why Matt picks this. Matt picks this so he can push Vivaldi.
That's exactly the case. Fuck Chrome, fuck Brave, screw Firefox. Nobody gives a shit. Use Vivaldi. It's the best browser, and I will fight for it. Also, the CEO of Vivaldi switched to Linux full time this last week. So there you go. It's a Linux. It's not an open source browser, okay? So I know that pisses a lot of people off, that it's not open source, but you want to know what? The only real true open source browser is like Firefox, and you could look at the source code of that if you wanted to. You're not going to be able to understand it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as much of a FOSS advocate as I think I am, but that part just doesn't bother me at all. I really do like that they are so adamantly against AI, because it's not that I don't use, like I've talked about earlier, I use AI, but I don't want it shoved in places where it doesn't need to be. There's just certain things where I don't need it. I like the
I
old
did have a
search.
question.
Go ahead.
So my question is, I can't remember which one of you, but don't one of you actually use a search engine in the actual terminal?
No.
Mm-mm.
I could have sworn maybe it was just Zany. I don't remember, but I'd be interested in, like, if you're using the search engine, is it actually pulling from Google? So would AI also be emulated into your terminal as well, trying to do a search? Because I know you can do it. I just don't remember the actual
That'd be cool,
program.
though. I'd be up for that. Like if a searching that is part of like some type of terminal application, that'd be cool. I
Yeah.
can do that.
So there's two different ones that you can set up in your terminal. It's something like dduck and dgoogle or something like that. I don't know. It's been years since I've heard them. They may not still be even maintained anymore. But you can sign up with like the API key from your DuckDuckGo and then search. A lot of people were using it as part of Rofi. Like you could set it up as part of Rofi. Actually, DT did a manual like Rofi script that just basically used the URL for DuckDuckGo and Google, and then put your Rofi command at the end in the URL, and then it would just kick you into a browser. So that's something that's kind of more local, but still kick you to the browser. For me personally, I really wish Cirx was a little bit better, just a smidge better. Like if it was faster, I think it would be fantastic. As is, it's really good, but it's astonishingly slow sometimes. Now, maybe that's just the hardware that I have it running on. Maybe I need to soup up the hardware a little bit and give it more resources or something. I don't know, but if it was just a little bit better, I think it'd be great. So, Drew, are you still using Cirx, or have you moved to something different for?
No, yeah, that's my default search in my Omnibar, but I have like quick key things. Like if I go :GM, it's for Google Maps. And if I go or :GW, it goes to the Google web, but not the one, that we normally see as far as search. So, but default, yeah, searching is what I am using. By the way, the browser that I could not remember is called Helium, and it is heavily influenced by the ungoogled Chromium project.
Cool. I will have to check that out. Just on the thing of search, but that extra 10% that I have to go to Google usually is to search for an image, because the image search on search is just not
bad.
good. Like it's just so astonishingly bad. Does anybody in the chat know this? Is Cirx actually still actively maintained? Because I'm not actually sure if it is or not. It just feels like it has been stagnant
I get
forever.
updates literally all the time
Oh,
on my TrueNAS scale for searching. So
the perils of using Watchtower is that I don't get to see any of those things. So I just assume that nothing's changing. It's like, it's fine. It's all done for me. It's AI doing my updates for me. I'm sure it's great. It's fine.
Manual updates only, Matt.
Nothing's going to break, Drew. It's going to be fine, man. All right. So that is it for our main topic. So it's time for the Nuggies of the week. So we are on the last section of the podcast. These things are called Nuggies. These are basically whatever we want to share. They can be apps, picks, tricks, whatever we want to share. There's things that we've discovered over the course of however long that we want to share with you guys. So Nate, what is your Nuggie of the week?
So, as you know, I have been really wanting a Elgato Stream Deck, but I am poor. So, basically, what I have found, because I have this little Mac Mini thing that is technically out of date as far as support, but you still get some applications. And I ran across this thing called Touch Portal, or Touch Port. Yeah, Touch Portal is what's the actual name. And basically, it emulates a Steam Deck in an app version, and if my system was on, I was going to actually show and tell, but unfortunately my system with my Linux machine, it's not working. But there is the application that you can download. It is a app image for Linux, so it'll basically run on any machine that you want to use. And I can use this little iPad mini as a Stream Deck. And just like the Stream Deck, there's many things that you can buy. Like, you can get plugins for it for certain applications. You can use different third-party software. And so far, it just works. It's really easy to set up. It will connect over the Wi-Fi if you want to do that as well. You can do it USB to USB. It's up to you. So I think it's a really good piece of software for people like me that, can't really afford a Stream Deck, but you have an extra tablet laying around that's a little bit older. Try to give Touch Portal a shot at it.
That does sound really good. I have a Stream Deck. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. I have literally 2 buttons assigned to it, and both of those are for descriptions on videos. That's literally all I use it for right now. I have aspirations to use it for more, but I don't know. I have aspirations for many things. Drew, your Nuggie of the week, please.
I was going to go with something called Seagit, but I am going to tell you, do not use Seagit. That is my Nuggie for you, because what I had anticipated as a win to install as a Git server was much, much more challenging. So my Nuggie for you is don't do it. Just don't. Seagit is the Git software that is open and is being used by the Suckless tools guys. So if you go to their git.suckless.org, you're going to see what Seagit looks like. But as far as like setting it up and it being feature rich, no, sir. So don't do that. If you want something that's really good, though, try that Helium browser.
Okay. My Nuggie of the week is an Android application called Pano Scrobbler. Now, I think I've talked about this before, where I've kind of gotten obsessed with tracking everything that I do, from, steps that I walk to, websites that I visit, how long I'm on TikTok, how long I'm on YouTube Shorts, everything. And one of the areas that I haven't done a good enough job of tracking in years past, but has been 100% possible to track, is my music. I really wish that I'd been using Last.fm or something similar long ago. Like, I had an account, but I just stopped using it. But Panos Grobbler kind of does that. It does link to Last.fm, but it also a whole bunch of other like free and open source versions of Last.fm. And basically what it does, it will attach to any audio on your phone and then push that statistic up to whatever's tracking you. So if you're using Last.fm or whatever, it will basically allow you to keep charts of what you're listening to. So like my most listened to artist over the last month has been Breaking Benjamin, which is not a surprise to me literally all that much because I listen to them all the time. But it's been really cool to see what I've been listening to over time. I really wish I had the information like from 10 years ago, because I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like my music tastes have changed all that much, but maybe they have, but I just don't know. So anyways, I would say Panos Grobbler, if you're interested in tracking what you listen to on your phone, I highly recommend it. And I'm still using Last.fm for the back end of that. I don't know that it's the best thing, because I don't feel that it's going to be around for that much longer, because it's never updated, and it's owned by CBS Interactive of all companies, which is just, I don't know, makes you feel a little dirty. But there are other like open source versions that I have checked out, and I might switch to them eventually. So there's that. All right, so those are the Nuggies of the week, and that is the podcast for this one. So first off, let's all clap and just acknowledge that Nate's audio made it all the way through the end of the podcast. That's great. At the beginning, we weren't quite sure because, Linux. And there you go. So if you want to get in contact with us, the best way to do that is via email. Email at thelinuxcast.org is that email address. If you want to get in touch with the boys here, just email that address and I will then forward it on. Same thing in the comment section. If you want to address one of the guys here, just let me know and I usually forward on to them so they can answer your questions if need be. You can also find Mr. Drew on YouTube. He is Just a Guy Linux. On YouTube, he posts things about Debian and scripting and window managers and all sorts of stuff, so you definitely go over there and check him out. Nate is also on YouTube. He is Nate Picks Tech World on YouTube, and he covers the hardware side of things. So if you are interested in the hardware stuff, you should definitely check his channel out. So go subscribe to both of these boys. They'll be very happy that you do. They're both itching to get to Mr. Beast status, and they can only do that if you go search and subscribe to their channels. So, and I too aspire to be Mr. Beast. So subscribe to my channel, the Linux Cast, if you haven't done so already. I appreciate it. If you have, and if you haven't, I will appreciate it when you do. So all the contact information you could find for us is on thelinuxcast.org/contact. You'll find our Discord and Mastodon and websites and all that stuff there for you to peruse at your time frame or whatever that I was trying to say there. I kind of lost my thoughts. Anyways, that is it for this one. We record this live every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time or thereabouts. We're a little late once in a while.
Is the lug this week, Matt?
The lug is this week. Thank you, Drew. We record 2 lug. This lug here is the late lug, so it'll be taking place Thursday, which is 2 days from now at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching live, you can probably catch us. If you're watching after this on Saturday, you've missed it. But it will come around again. We do 2 lugs every month, an early one and a late one. You want the details on that, join the Discord server. Link for that in the video description. So I know that I've been not as good at the early lug lately because of work. So there may be some schedule changes there. So stay tuned on that, because sometimes that early slot just is not good for work in the middle of a Thursday.
Do we have a guest host next week?
Oh, yeah, we do. Tony, by the way, will be on our podcast next week. I'm not sure what we're talking about yet, but it'll be fun.
By the way.
Yeah. Tony BTW. I just call him Tony, by the way. Anyways, that is... Yeah, there's a lug voting. There's a link for the poll. It says the early poll because we didn't do an early one this month because I had to miss it. So I'm just using the same poll as that one. So yeah, guest next week, and then we do have a couple of guests coming up in October as well. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, subscribe. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Where is my cursor? Just true. I can't.
Pretty soon, Matt, Chrome will have the cursor. All you have to do is say, click it off. Turn off.
Oh, dude, I would pay actually. Hey, Google, stop recording. Oh, fuck off. Don't listen to me now. Half the time, bitch won't listen to me, and this time I picked it up. All right. Where is Audacity when you need it? Okay.